actually able to predict the performance of a soldier in that 12-minute assessment. Other assessments are not, they reflect the environment, they're not statistically significant, and they are not able to truly predict performance by looking at the brain and the way a person thinks. We have many applications of our tool in the entire life cycle of a soldier, from recruiting to improving retention as well as the performance, using this one 12-minute assessment. It's online. And we'd like to use our science of the mind technology also in looking and better understanding our enemies and strategizing better plans. But basically, we can now say that we can do more with less. By being able to look at the predictive performance of each individual that comes into our military and better matching their innate abilities with a particular MOS. In fact, we've proven it. We have looked at one MOS and proven that if you take this 12-minute assessment and match those innate capabilities that are unique to one MOS, we saved $101 million per MOS. And again, that's just by looking at the innate abilities a person is, per year, yeah. These innate abilities a person is actually born with. So it's all in the soldier's head. We've been doing this in the private sector for years and identifying how to better engage an individual and improve their performance by better matching them with a particular job. We also work on building those quick teaming skills with teams that have to come together very quickly and improving communication. All the things that have been presented to you today, we can easily quantify in that soldier even before they come into the Army. In fact, right now, 5% of those that sign up to serve in the military never even show up at the door. We can tell you who they are and why they do that as well. That whole key insight that we can bring has to do with the very intrinsic motivations of a human being and why they do what they do. And we can do it very quickly. What we've really discovered is the different structures in the way a person functions intellectually. And Dr. Solomon had just commented on this because it's about personalization. We have personalization that's needed not only in our schools, but also in the way that we learn. And from our research, because we look at the brain, we also know how to better design training programs. And it's all, again, about predicting, truly predicting the behavior based on the way that soldier is making decisions. So, I mean, I don't know if you've asked any of your kids or grandchildren lately, what are you going to do when you grow up? They're usually, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Most people do not know how to answer that question. Who am I? And why do I do what I do? We've been out there with the kids. We've been out there in the prisons. We've been out there in workforce centers helping people answer that question. It's all based, again, on understanding who you are and being able to predict that performance so that someone can excel in their job and also enjoy it and increase your retention rates. Predictive performance, that's what we're offering here today. Being able to go in and recruit in those high schools a better match for that particular MOS and do it very quickly. Help that millennial understand why they do what they do and be motivated to join and stay and serve. We also have discovered, because it's based on the brain, the different ways that people learn. And they're very distinct strategies that can be used. As we spent 4 years in basic training and other areas looking at what is currently done, it's all just one way that information is presented. There are new ways that right now, in addition to our cognifile reports, we call them, we have learner reports and all kinds of information. We even know who wakes up in the morning and likes to get out there and who likes to sleep later. A lot of this was funded by CBS television that wanted to better understand their consumer. Gerry, I know you have a few words to say.
As we all have grown up, we've noticed that there are flowers, they have properties, there are trees, and all the woods have different properties. There are fish, and each one of them had names as well as different properties. And of course, metals. I, as an engineer, will choose a metal for a particular product because of those properties. Well, guess what? People have properties too. And that's what's really important to understand is what is it that you wake up in the morning and really enjoy doing, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. That is your competency. That is what you're really good at doing. And that is what needs to be aligned with the right MOS or the right job, because that's what you enjoy doing. The easy way to explain this is the natural athlete, because everybody recognizes the natural athlete who can run down the field and catch the football. They have that natural athletic ability. But there's also the natural plumber, the natural welder, actor, architect, engineer, mechanic, and so on, as well as we can put that over onto the military side, and there are natural EOD people, natural infantry, translators, special ops, etc. So we start to understand what's going on up here. We can now start to align that with the right MOSs and their assignments. So we're really looking at innate competencies, talent, and their natural work mode. So competency is what you enjoy doing every day, all day long. Your talent is what you enjoy doing part-time that makes your competency better. And your work mode is your output, how you actually want to perform it. So there's body, hand, word, and mind. So one of those, even though we can do all four, there's one of those you do better than the others. And that's what you prefer to do. So you start to align all those things with the right MOS, and naturally you're going to have better soldiers performing at a higher level. You can actually predict the performance. Amazing, you can predict. Who makes the best recruiter? We did a study with about in 2002, who makes the best recruiter, and we did over 4,000 recruiters at that time with the Army and Navy as a joint study, and we identified the natural recruiter into 3 different cognophiles, who naturally are the salespeople in the civilian side. And of course, these are really important to understand why they did it. From that study, we actually predicted their performance. And what's also sort of amazing, we also predicted those who were called zero rollers or did not sign any recruits over a 3-year period. So you can do both. You can see both sides, those who perform the highest, as well as you can see the ones who perform the least. And of course, then you can save lots of money if you have the right person and the right MOS. And it is all performance-based. We can do the same thing on the civilian side as well as we can do it on the military side. So the results. How do you apply this in the military? Naturally, we want to align those innate strengths with the right MOSs. Actually, you can start recruiting at the very beginning and put the right person in the right MOS at the recruiting office. And of course, then that person, the 5% who never show up, will start showing up because they want to do that, because this is what they're good at. This is what they really want to know. You know, it's that high school student who says, I don't know what to do with my life. Well, now, through this assessment, we can tell them what they're good at doing and help them see their potential of where they can apply that. and then everything starts to make sense to them. And of course, we can make adaptive leaders who, on the fly, can see what's going on and then how to lead the group. You can also have team building, resiliency, accelerated learning, etc. We can see this entire soldier's life, the life cycle of that soldier. And so we can also help them transition back out into civilian society. So this is a very complicated system we're talking about, and so we don't have much time, but we'll be happy to answer questions if you would like.
Okay, I'm going to ask the first question because when you guys submitted your white paper, I asked a lot of questions to Linda, and I said, Linda, you know, when I take Myers-Briggs, it kind of tells me who I am that day, right? But, you know, when I took it when I was a captain, different than when I take it now. And I asked you the same question about the cognophiles. And what was your answer?
If you are truly measuring the innate abilities of an individual, they do not change. And we have, over the years, proven that. Had individuals come back repeatedly and say, well, has it changed? No. Other instruments actually measure what happens in the environment. They measure the education, they measure the experiences, and it's self-reporting. What you have to get at is the underlying intrinsic motivations based on how you take in information, how you process it, how you keep it in your memories. And what we found is the logic of the mind and how we can figure that out. We had to design an instrument to measure that. And we would share passcodes with any of you that'd like to take a look at your mind or your children or grandchildren. Our mission is to get as young as possible to help our people figure out who they are and build their confidence and serve our country in a way that we can do more with less. And in our recruiter study, not only did we save $101 million in 1 year by one placement in one MOS, we actually could return soldiers to the field. So we can do more with less with this technology and create a better lifestyle. We talk to chaplains, we talk to families, we've been out with the staff sergeants, looking at many ways that once a person understands more of who they are and how do they relate to the rest of the world, that indeed we end up being a lot happier and a lot more productive.
I'm Kevin Mangum. I'm the Deputy Commander at Training and Doctrine Command, so this is really exciting stuff. So I think you mentioned it, but I just want to make sure that I understand. So as you measure the innate abilities, the intrinsic motivations, the work mode, I assume that you're also measuring that non-cognitive will, grit, stick-to-itiveness, who's going to eat the marshmallow, those kind of things. So.
Yep.
And what about indicators of future misconduct?
We can predict that as well, and we would love to make a presentation in depth on all of the research and our dichotomies, we call them. We do have a paper here today. It's a 6-page paper, but we have been investigating this for a number of years. The resiliency question that you have, who is going to be more apt to be more resilient? What kind of leadership style? What's their communication style? What's that aptitude for driving forward and completing that mission? Who is more apt to do it? And that's what we've been able to answer.
Great. No pun intended, but I'm excited to learn more.
Yes.
What about after a traumatic brain injury? Have you done anything there for people who have suffered damage?
We have been asked that question. We come out of the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and indeed,
where my wife graduated.
cost has been prohibiting that, and we believe that yes, there is something there that we could actually know how to help the surgeon operate and what can happen afterwards. We just have not physically linked our research with that yet.
Yeah.
Well, right now we've started with Loma Linda VA Hospital, and working with Dr. Ferry and looking at how we can better understand our veterans and how to improve compliance. And Dr. Ferry is leading that effort. Okay. Well, thank you. And we look forward to helping our military in any way we can.
You want to mention?
Thank you,